Hello, my name is Shaun Peapell. I am a CHCSP and the Vice President of Global Threat Services at Root Shell Security. Right now we are living through this really significant AI kind of land grab, and fundamentals are just simply getting missed. Business adoption has jumped from these kind of tinkerings and experiments in the corner to kind of this more mass adoption, if you like, into production everywhere. And the kind of dominant emotion in the boardrooms is this FOMO, this fear of missing out. Teams are kind of racing to ship assistants, chatbots and AI-powered assistants, AI-powered features, because no one wants to be the last mover in this space. The upside is absolutely real, increasing productivity, new revenue streams, faster cycles, efficiency, economies. But the downside is that this speed is really outpacing, the discipline. So what's getting missed, I think, is the question we need to ask. Well, simply put, it's security. Not just model misconfigurations that we're talking about here, but we're talking about that whole kind of AI stack or chain, especially when we are seeing heavy adoption of this concept of agentic AI, orchestration frameworks, plugins, tools, vector stores, and this back-end mesh, if you like, of APIs that connect the AI capability to your precious data and your back-end systems. That rush, in my mind, creates really three distinct problems. You've got speed, you've got scale, and you've got surface area. Speed means, controls really aren't designed or baked into that whole process. There's a race to get it out, right? Scale means that experiments really quietly become business critical. So we've gone from this kind of design we would like to have to, we have to absolutely have it. And the surface area kind of really explodes. Prompt inputs, third-party tools, over kind of permitted, connectors, exposed keys, data retrieval points that bad actors can really look to start abusing. We're already seeing, classic issues, those fundamental classic issues that we normally see, but they're wearing new clothes now, if you like. Indirect prompt injection through, documents and web pages, and data leakage via kind of overbroad retrieval. Shadow IA, where kind of teams are writing, and write up their own frameworks with default settings and configurations that punch holes straight through into things like, production APIs. The result really is this exotic mix. It's amazing capability paired with fragile kind of guardrails, in my mind. The answer, isn't, we don't want to be here to slow innovation. What we need to do is secure it. We need to treat AI like any other system within your organization. We need to threat model the kind of use case. We need to classify the data. We need to enforce this kind of least privilege principle on tools and APIs, for example. We need to put controls on that ingress and egress of data or input, if you like, around the models. And we need to be running regular red team sort of exercise. And I mean red team, that whole holistic kind of workflow really needs to be assessed, and not just the prompt. You need to be logging and monitoring all of your model's actions, and then regularly test those releases through continuous testing the safety and abuse paths. I think, in short, we need to move fast, but we need to move safe. The winners will be the companies that kind of turn AI FOMO into AI return on investment without turning up in the breach headlines. Bad actors aren't just breaking into AI, they are turning any AI implementation that an organization may have deployed into a weapon against them. Because AI is being plugged straight into the heart of an organization's data and tools. Attackers don't always need to kind of break in. A high majority of times they just need to talk to the AI capability nicely. And that's what we're getting to. At a high level, attacks typically consist of prompt injections, manipulated inputs, bypassing of guardrails, hiding instructions and things like web pages for retrieval documents, PDFs, etc. But the AI likes to, kind of pull in and augment and read, and ultimately steering it to be persuaded to the fact that it can actually spill data or take unsanctioned actions, which it's not designed to do. If the deployed AI can push buttons and leverage those back-end systems within your organization, for example, query a database or create a ticket or send emails, a function at the back end, bad actors can try to coax it to doing these tasks for them for nefarious ends, especially when permissions are typically, as we see, massively too broad. They also hunt for things like exposed API keys, tokens in logs or plugins, which turns round a very, very quick prompt trick into real system access. The defense is simple in spirit, I guess. Clean what AI consumes, limit what it can do, and then monitor and watch what it sends out ultimately, and then test this, repeatedly and consistently throughout its life cycle. Essentially, the takeaway is AI changes the how and the scale, if that makes sense, of attacks. It doesn't retire the old fundamentals; they are still massively there. We're quite familiar with this idea of defend by sanitizing what models ingest and emit, strictly, scoping tools and identities, enforcing ingress and egress controls, validating and escaping, that control at every boundary, signing and creating retrieval sort of sources, monitoring model actions, that end-to-end kind of process. And then, like I've mentioned already, this idea's concept of red team, this holistic type of testing of the whole workflow. So, what we're looking at here is the new and the old classes of attacks, if you like, are covered. Whether you've got this proof of concept, it's AI proof of concept in the corner here, or you've got a production assistant or a workflow talking to your back-end data, we can help start by mapping what is real. The apps, the large language models, any retrieval or augmentation pipelines and plugins, the vector stores, if you like, identities, and of course the APIs that kind of glue it all together. It's like an X-ray, if you like, of your AI stack that reveals the data flows, trust boundaries, and who and what can press buttons and which buttons they are to be pressed. Essentially, we will assess it and try to circumvent the controls, the safety, before anyone else does, as in bad actors. We run the attacks that kind of really matter in the real world, right? If your AI can send emails, query databases, or touch cloud resources, we exercise those paths. We go on those journeys with the guardrails on, looking to prove the business impact without obviously causing the business damage.